the perfect shot. Of course, you can luck your way into it occasionally, but the more effort you put into planning your photo trip, the better odds you have of coming home with the imagery that you want. Let's rewind a bit. I'll show you exactly how I got here. For me, a photo trip is like any other thing. The more preparation you put into it, the better off your results are going to be. I try to go ahead and prepare for the worst and hope for the best in a scenario like this. So let me give you a little bit of an insight in how I prepare for a photo trip, the depths that I go to do so, to hopefully ensure I'm coming home with the pictures that I want when I visit a location. Now, I'm no stranger to planning trips. Not only have I been exploring the planet and road tripping for more than 20 years, for nearly the past decade, I've been planning and leading photography workshops for groups and private clients all over the world. One thing that I've learned is that perfect shot starts with an inspiration. That inspiration might have been something that you saw when you were flipping through a magazine or online, or maybe even a daydream when you were watching TV.
Introduced my wife, but my husband's at home feeding my brand new baby kangaroo.
When you press it on, there go the balls, they're bursting, and you're getting that beautiful...
I am the one who knocks.
No one tell the new guy that I'm really dumb.
Man, I'm bored. I need a change of pace. I know, maybe I'll take a photo trip. But where should I go?
Because in Death Valley, things are rarely as they seem.
That inspiration is going to lead to the next step, and that's research. Go! After I have a possible location in mind, now I'm going to start thinking about when I'm going to go on this trip. Now, if it's a specific period of time I have to go, like a work vacation, then I'm going to end up looking possibly at things that could be cool to photograph during that period of time. Now, if it's not that, if it's something more like an event that I want to photograph, like the Northern Lights, there's a very specific period of time that occurs, and that already starts to dictate when my trip's going to be. I'll check local websites of the place I'm thinking about visiting to see if there's anything interesting, like a festival going on. Those are the experiences that lead to unique photos. I want to start thinking about the weather in that area also. So if I wanted to go to Death Valley and my vacation falls around September, and then I pull up the average weather in September and see that it's well over 100 degrees still, that might end up making me change my mind about that Death Valley trip. I might start looking at I don't know, fall colors up in Colorado Rockies instead. So that weather itself might start dictating your location or the photographs that you're going to end up taking and the things that you're about to research. Next, I'm going to start looking at pictures in that location on websites like 500px or Flickr. You can type in the search bars in these the location that you're thinking about going and see some really impressive images and get a good feeling for where they were taken, possibly when they were taken, whether it be the time of year or the time of day. Those things really do play in a lot to the way the picture looks, and when you go is going to have very specific impacts on that type of look for your pictures too. Now that I've ended up finding a place that I want to go, when I want to go, and I've been inspired a little bit by seeing others' photos that have been there, I'm going to start looking more into the actual place I'm headed to. Since I'm going to Death Valley, let's just Google that and see what comes up. And right towards the top here, I've got the National Parks website, which in this case is going to give me some of the most up-to-date, concise information. It's going to be able to show me if there's any closures going on, and if there's something specifically that I want to photograph that is off limits at the time, I'm going to know ahead of time before I get into the park. My research's next step is going to be Google Earth. Not Google Maps, but Google Earth. That's going to give me a lot more in-depth of a view than Google Maps would allow me, and I can start to really put together this trip. Well, in Google Earth, I can switch this little tab and it allows me to turn on photos. Once you've toggled on that photo switch, you can see that it shows pictures that other people have taken. Now, some of these have been placed through geolocation, through satellite information in phones. Others of these have been placed manually by people, either just kind of roughly plopping them down, or potentially even photographers that don't want you to know where their specific composition was, but want to show off their shots, so they might put it in a slightly different place or a totally different place. Take these shots and their locations with a grain of salt, but it's a great way to research, at least before your foot's on the ground, the way it might look in a specific area. Now, the other thing that you can do here is toggle on 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional views. The 3D view is going to give me a lot better idea of the topography, and if I've got some kind of ridges or things for contrast to come off of during a sunrise or sunset, to be able to create some nice shadows in the shot. Depending on the specific area, if it's a really popular place, you might even be able to turn on a Google Street View style view from this. This is also something you can use in a city, or to even explore new places in your own hometown. Now that I've got a general idea of where I want to shoot on this trip, I'm going to put the computer aside and I'm going to pull out an app called PhotoPills on my phone. This is an app that's going to show me when the sunrise and sunset are in a specific location at a specific time. I can see when the moonrise and moonset are going to happen along with a phase of the moon. I know if the Milky Way is going to have a good visible galactic center or if it's going to be below the horizon. It'll even let me see the angle of the light of the moon or the sun are coming in at a specific time, so I know if that mountainside is going to be hit by that sunset light or if it's going to be obscured by the horizon by the time that actually happens. This is also something you can use in an urban environment to see if buildings or hillsides are going to block your light. This is a priceless app to be able to really start to plan out the finite points and when you want to shoot to make sure that you're going to come home with the photographs that you're really looking forward to. Now that the photographic end is starting to come a little bit more into focus, I'm going to start turning my attention more towards the travel side of things. Now, depending on your style of travel, there's hotels, Airbnbs, and camping that are usually the most common three. I'm going to go camping personally in this instance. The National Park website, since this is Death Valley, has quite a bit of information about camping within the park. And then outside of the park, you might find BLM land, Bureau of Land Management, National Forest Service land, and also different private campsites that operate for you to stay at. On road trips, there's another resource I like called freecampsites.net, and that'll give you an idea of places you can pull off the beaten path that might be cool camp spots that you can spend a night or two at. Now, I do like to take a shower every now and then. If you're on a road trip and camping mostly, truck stops will often have pay showers. Now, in our current scenario, after calling the hotel, I've found out that for $4, I can get a pool shower pass for the day that's going to allow me to go in and take a shower whenever I want. That's going to make things a lot more comfortable for this trip and make camping a lot more viable, especially for people that aren't accustomed to it. Just make sure with those public showers to bring your flip-flops along. You'll thank me for that. Now, we could spend all day talking about the minutia of how to pack for a trip or where to find the best food, but I think most of that is left best up to your own research. Let the wormhole take you where it does. The more time you spend digging through search results pertaining to your location, the more unique and successful your trip will be. In this case, talking specifically about a photo trip, I always want to make sure I have good, comfortable clothing, an extra pair of socks, in a cold environment, maybe an extra pair of long underwear, and a flashlight or a headlamp. Even if I don't plan on being out at night, if you're out and it starts to get a little bit dark, it's nice to have that safety of some added light coming back to your car. Now, on the other side of things, when we're talking cameras, I do like to have cleaning equipment with me. At the very minimum, a microfiber to clean your lenses. Possibly a lens pen, which on one side gives you a little brush to get dust off and the other gives you a nice little cleaning element. I do like to carry around with me a blower bulb, although not a necessity. It's nice to get the dust off, or if you get something on your sensor like some dust or a hair, it's good to help blow that off also. Even lens liquids that you would use along with your microfibers or cleaning cloths to really get in there are a complete kit to take with you on a trip. Extra batteries and charging units for those batteries are a necessity also. So nothing worse than getting out, 5 or 6 hours driving, going out for a trip for a weekend, and finding out you've run out of batteries after the first night. So making sure that you have all that stowed away is going to end up making your trip a lot more enjoyable. A tripod for a trip I also consider a necessity. Even if you're not taking landscape shots or using something really heavy, getting the camera out of your hand really slows you down and makes you think about what you're doing a lot more. So I would really put that on the necessity list, regardless of the type of photography you're doing. Now, the rest of this list, I think, really comes down to the type of trip. If you're going to be photographing wildlife, maybe a big telephoto and a gimbal head to be able to swing it around really easily. If you're going to be doing time lapses, maybe finding a motion control system is a good option. If this is a once-in-a-lifetime trip or a once-in-a-year trip that's really big for you, you might even look into renting something to help that trip out. Like that big telephoto can be rented from a company like Borrow Lenses or LensRentals.com, and it's going to be a lot cheaper than actually going out and buying something like that for that once-in-a-lifetime usage. Just remember, when it comes to packing, less is more. Aside from that spare pair of socks and those extra batteries, really take a hard look at what you think you're going to use and what you think you won't. If you have your zoom, are you really going to use that fixed lens? Is that flash going to be useful for this trip, or is it just going to end up being dead weight? The more you can take out of your bag, the more comfortable you're going to be and the more you're going to enjoy your trip. Make sure to join me next time when I take the images from this trip, bring them into Adobe Lightroom, and show you how I organize and edit them. Well, as of now, I'm all packed up, gassed up, and ready to hit the road. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.